Live, and we're chatting with Chris from Inside Gymnastics, publisher of Inside Gymnastics. Thanks for joining us and having a little chin wag. And
glad to be here.
we've got so much that has happened in 2020. 2020 has, been quite some year. It's either going to be quite a special year from the point of view of it's been a year of change and things happening that have made change to the world, or it's going to be looked back on as a really tough year that we wish we forgot. It's not going to be just an average year, that's for sure.
I agree completely. Actually, last night I just wrote my publisher's page for the next issue, talking about just that. And I think that we'll actually look back on 2020 as being a great year. As odd as that sounds to say, I think we will all have grown. We will all have learned. We will all have adapted. And I think the world will be a better place in the long run. I know it's really hard for people to kind of conceptualize that right now. They've been through a lot of trauma this year, but in a weird way, I think that we'll look back and 2020 is going to be a great year. It'll take us some time to realize it. It'll take us some time to work through it, but I think you're absolutely right.
Yep. And we've got, obviously we've got social unrest, we've got diseases, it's tested businesses. Unfortunately, there's many businesses that have gone under, many businesses have closed and never going to open. But, I think we're kind of on the tail end of the virus, at least from a lockdown standpoint. I don't know if we're on the tail end of the virus, but we're definitely, looks like most of the states are opening. Gyms are now looking at reopening, obviously. And, what are you hearing out in the kids activity center world from a reopening standpoint?
It's kind of interesting because we're getting so many different snapshots right now based on how different communities, different states, different counties are opening. So it's been really interesting to me to see that, I'm based part-time in Atlanta, part-time in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is still very much just coming out of the lockdown stages. Other states, I have friends that are in Alabama that have had their facilities open for a few weeks. And so it's really interesting to see so many different people at different stages of this. Actually, on our Instagram page earlier this week, we shared some clips of some gymnasts that were just getting back into training, and then the comments under that, some of them were like, I'm having so much fun, I'm struggling, my club hasn't even opened. So it's strange to have so many different stages of this reopening, and the gymnastics community is experiencing it so differently based on their geographic location. But I think what's been most interesting to me is that communication is the key. It's interesting, no matter what stage you're in, I think clubs are really learning to have a better form of dialogue with their parents, with their athletes. It started during the lockdown when people had to adapt, and they went from their center to all of a sudden doing Zoom classes and Facebook communication. And now as gyms are reopening, I'll use that example of the facility in Alabama. They had a Facebook Live where they kind of walked through, here's what our reopening strategy is going to be. We're going to start with private classes the first week. We only have a certain number of people in the gym. From their center to all of a sudden doing Zoom classes and Facebook communication. And now as gyms are reopening, I'll use that example of the facility in Alabama.
Yep.
They had a Facebook Live where they kind of walked through, here's what our reopening.
Go. We have a technical difficulty there, Chris. Sorry.
No problem.
We're broadcasting on like two channels right now, and one of them came up as you were talking. So I have just got it under control. Go for it. Let's get back onto it. So this is just for those of you that follow my things. There's always one little hiccup with Facebook Live. So we've got through it. We're now broadcasting on actual two channels. So. Okay. Let's get back. Sorry.
But this is like exactly what clubs experience. They went through technical issues when they were trying to get through these next phases. But I think communication is really something that has come out of this, is that people understand how important communication is, and they're now going that extra step of creating more of a dialogue with their athletes, with their parents, with their coaches. It's absolutely necessary. So the example I was using of the club in Alabama, did a Facebook Live to kind of walk people through, here's what our reopening strategy is going to be. We're going to start with private classes. We only have a certain number of people in the gym based on social distancing guidelines, really spelling it out for people in great detail, and then kind of taking it week by week. And then other gyms now are getting to learn from the facilities that are a couple of weeks ahead of them. So it's been interesting to see. It's crazy to be where we are, but again, I think people have learned to adapt their business model, and in the long run, they're going to have better athletes, better parents, better coaches that are all working together in unison.
And I do think, and I've seen this with many gyms, that because they were forced to adopt technology, because they were forced to start using the Zoom and Facebook Lives and different platforms to actually get their program out virtually, we had a bit of a catchphrase, I guess you would call it, that it was, your gym might be closed, but your program isn't, right? And I think if if you're looking for silver linings and trying to get positivity out of it, I think it has forced gyms, and it has caused the gym, the kids activity center business as a whole, dance schools, all of them, even a swim school of ours got on the online training, to actually look at technology and go, okay, how do we utilize it? And I think going forward, for when everything's open, it's going to be another way to reach out to communities in a very cheap, or free way to expose sports and expose dance schools and cheer and so forth in a way that it hasn't been before, and maybe give it a little bit easier access to families that might not have been able to access it, or maybe didn't even know that it was there. And we're actually starting to see that. And we are seeing a mini gym starting to use that technology as part of their marketing now, right? So you can get a little taster online of how it all works, get a little taster of what our gym's like, what our coaches are like. Then when you really start liking it, come in and see us, and you can reach thousands that way, right? Where prior to that, you weren't. And so you're right. There is a lot of interesting things happening, and I'm seeing some gyms bouncing back quickly, some a little bit slower. It's interesting to see that, and I'm interested in your take. Is the parents' mentality is going to be very interesting to see, because some of the early gyms, it's very wild differentiation between numbers that are coming back from parents. Some gyms have had quite a large number of parents return, and other gyms are struggling a little bit to get them to return. So what is your thoughts on parents' mindset over what we've been dealing with the reopenings?
Yeah, I think that a lot of parents realized how much gymnastics actually means to their kids during that break, and how much they missed it. And we have a series that we're doing on helping parents and athletes to both the physical and the psychological side of returning to this. And what we learned is that so many parents saw for the first time just how much gymnastics meant to their kid, how much of a withdrawal that they went through when they didn't have that, how many life lessons come from gymnastics that you don't really think about until you're in a situation where you don't have as a part of your daily life and your structure. So I think parents knew how much kids were missing it, how much it's a really cornerstone of their life. Right. And they're eager now to get them back into that sense of normalcy. This was a very traumatic experience for kids to go through, to end their school year early and not be with their friends there, to not have their teammates around them. They spend a lot of time, in some cases, more time in the gym than they do at home, waking hours. And so to have that disrupted was very traumatic for a lot of kids. So now I think parents are very eager to get them back into some sense of normalcy and the structure of gymnastics. And again, whenever club owners and coaches take that initiative to kind of explain, this is what we're going to do to keep your kids safe as possible, to keep them healthy in our facility, walk them through what they're doing with social distancing and sanitizing. And when parents have that sense of, okay, I understand that the gym has a plan in place, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable. So I'm encouraged really by most of what I've been seeing and hearing, how eager parents are to get their kids back to their program.
Right. And I think parents are just themselves eager to have a little bit of space between the kids and so forth. I've got a number of friends with, with 8 to 10-year-olds, and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to send my kid to the gym for a couple of hours to get them out of my hair. So I think it's good all around. So obviously we're dealing with that now. There's lots of things that are happening right now, but we've got lots of pretty good things, I think, to look forward to. Sure, we should be a month away, basically, a little over a month away from the Olympics, which normally would be a big, exciting thing that would be, I know your organization would be heavily involved with covering that. And we, as gym owners and associate businesses of gymnastics, would be gearing up, and that would be a major part of this year. Obviously, because of certain things that have happened, it's been put off to next year, which I think was a really good call, because it means that we can enjoy it full force, hopefully, and not have too many issues. But now we've got the Olympics in 2021 in Japan. What's your take on that? My first take is how all the athletes around the world might be affected in their training and run up to it, because that's been a little bit delayed, although they've got a year, I guess, to get back there. We've all got to reschedule our flights and hotel rooms and whatever we've done. But what's your thoughts on the run up to the 2021, I guess?
Yeah. From an athlete perspective, I think it was absolutely necessary. They had to move it, regardless of the health conditions, because athletes can't just pop back instantly to be in the form that they were. Sam McCulloch did an Instagram takeover for us, and somebody asked him on that how much time he thinks it will get back to his competitive shape. And I think he said 3 months. We had an interview with Jade Carey that went live on our website yesterday. I think she said the same thing, around 3 months for her to get back into just feeling that she's into routine shape. So it was absolutely necessary that they move it, just from a safety perspective. And I know some people were disappointed, obviously, because they had set their mindset to peak this year. And so, again, it's not just the physical side of things. Now it's the mental side of, I have to regroup. I have to set up a whole new plan to peak at the right time, to get my training aligned with competitions. And we don't even know the competition dates yet for the lead up to the Olympics. So there are a lot of things that they're having to figure out, and that'll all fall into place. And then from a club owner perspective, obviously a lot of clubs see a surge in people having interest in their facilities, enrollments during Olympic year. So I know some people had accounted for growth that they were expecting this year, and now they're not only dealing with maybe not having that growth, but as you mentioned, just having to get people back in their facility. But I see it also as an opportunity. Now you have a great extra period of time that you can promote this lead up to the Olympics and join this momentum, and use that kind of as a marketing opportunity leading up to the Olympics, not just the post-Olympics bump. But as you mentioned, now they have all of these tools and technology that they can kind of give a window into their world and get people excited about the lead up to the Olympics and not just the post-Olympic time frame.
Yeah, I totally agree, Chris. I think again, looking at the silver lining of a difficult situation, we can look at it and go, okay, now I really know what I need to do, and I've got a year to really make the most of this Olympic bump in my community. And there is an element that if we can get, if in a year we should be able to get top of mind in most mums and parents in our local communities, using these tools that we've kind of developed over the corona lockdowns, during the corona lockdowns, with a little bit of smart online marketing and tools that are out there now. You can absolutely set it up so when that bump hits, and that bump is basically parents that go, wow, I really enjoyed that, or I'd love my little girl to do that, or I'd love my little boy to get involved with that. Having more of those people top of mind would be critical. And I truly believe if gyms do this well, and obviously it's about getting through this tough year first, but if gyms do things correctly, they might have the best bump that they've ever had, right? I think it's absolutely on the cards.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that gymnastics clubs have going for them is Simone Biles is probably going to be the face of the games. and the lead up to it and a lot of the marketing that's coming out from NBC. I know she'll be featured very prominently. She's got an amazing personality and amazing talent. She's going to be probably the top storyline of the game. So gymnastics is going to be front and center, not just during the games, but in all of this lead up and all of the media that's leading up to the Olympics. I think gymnastics will be front and center.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think for all of the challenges, and I know we're putting a positive spin on 2020, but 2021 could be quite a fun time. I think it could, and for many reasons. So let's spin it round on you, Chris. We've been talking about all the other stuff. Let's talk about Inside Gymnastics a little bit. Inside Gymnastics obviously is a publication that many people in the gymnastics community sign up to, and then obviously there's cheer and the dance version of the same publication. You guys have been around for quite some time. You're a what would you call it? You're a staple of the business. How have you been, like, because you've still been putting magazines out? I mean, I've got a magazine that came out a couple of weeks ago or so. How have you guys been dealing with the virus? What kind of thing, in the lockdowns and everything that's been doing, how has that affected Inside Gymnastics?
We've kind of, as you mentioned, it opened up a lot of opportunities in some cases. The magazine is the core of who we are. And then we also have a very robust following on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And we really tried to utilize all of our resources to kind of keep people engaged with the sport during that time that was challenging. So with Instagram, I mentioned the example of takeovers. We had a lot of athletes kind of show what lockdown was like for them. So an athlete like Sam McCulloch gave a window into his world. What is his lockdown like? What is he doing for training at home? He answered countless questions from some of our followers that were asking how he was dealing with it and how he was changing his mindset. And so it was neat to have opportunities like that where in real time we were able to give a window into the lives of some of these elite athletes and share it with people that look up to them as role models. That was really heartening for me to see. And then with the magazine, we not only during that time frame, but afterwards now with both our magazine, our website, we really want to, for coaches in particular and club owners, provide a lot of resources, tools to help them kind of adjust to this new normal. And I mentioned the series that we're having on our Facebook, where we're taking a physical therapist and a sports psychologist and helping both athletes and coaches adapt to this period of transition that they've never experienced. Think about that, Andy. This is something that no one has ever gone through, right, where their business was closed for this amount of time and athletes took this amount of time off of training. This is something that is completely new. So with that, I think it's important for us to kind of take a step back and realize people need help. They need resources. They need guidance. And for us, I'm very happy that we're kind of in a position where we're able to have a medium to share information from some of these experts and share what other clubs are doing, share what athletes are experiencing, and really utilizing all of those tools in concert. So for us, it's almost been nice that so many people have looked to us as, I think, a light, as inspiration, as a resource. And our team has been working around the clock to try to measure up to that, to be what they need at their time of uncertainty. So for us, it's kind of been an honor to be able to be a light for the gymnastics community, and we've taken that role very seriously.
And I know you've got, like, on your Facebook page alone, is it up to 150,000 odd followers, maybe more. And just if you're listening and watching, I know there's a number of people, they are watching right now. If you're not a follower of or haven't liked the Inside Gymnastics page and got involved with the Instagram page, you really should. There's great information that is on there. I think Chris and his team are constantly bringing up really good stuff for the industry and just for the fan. I mean, it's not an industry specific platform, although it is obviously focused on the industry in a lot of ways. It is a gymnastics specific platform, and I think it's been doing a great job. And in a time when and I don't really want to go heavily into it, where there is a bit of a void of information. There isn't a lot of support for those of us that like the sport and are in the industry as well. I think having organizations like yourself who are kind of like filling in the informational gap a little bit and pumping people up and keeping people motivated and having a source, a resource to use is critical. With going forward, obviously you dealt with the lockdown and you did a good job of it, I believe. Going forward, between now and say maybe let's just go for the next year, as we were talking about for Inside Gymnastics. What are you guys planning?
Just as we were talking about kind of with the clubs and that Olympic momentum, for us, we know that's something that people love, is the countdown to the Olympics. So, not just the games itself, but the race of who's going to make the team and, what competitions are in that run up to the games, what storylines can we follow, what athletes are contenders. We realize that for fans, this, the year leading to the Olympics is almost as much fun as the Olympics itself. There's so many people that, I've seen friends that are putting together their list. Here's who I think is going to make the Olympic team, and here's who you think. Let's see who gets this right. And then following, all of the athletes and peaking at the right time. You're seeing their biggest skills come out in that year leading to the Olympics. So for us, this is almost as exciting as the games itself. And I think for whether you're an athlete, whether you're a fan, whether you're a coach, whatever part of the gymnastics community you're in, this is such an exciting time, and people need excitement right now. They need something to look forward to. They need something to latch onto that's kind of that beacon ahead. And so for us, that's going to be a big focus, but also keeping in mind that we're not going to lose sight of what we have been doing through the lockdown, which is providing resources and tools and so forth. So we kind of want to be both. We want to be that light, that inspiration, that entertainment, but at the same time, we want to continue to be a resource and provide a medium for people to talk, exchange ideas, work with companies like yours to provide them the best information, the best tools. Marketing, as we talked about, is going to be a key. We know that people need to have people back in their facilities. So what can they do to not only get their regular customers back, but expand their base? All of those types of things that we think are going to be critical over the next year, and will be at the top of our list.
And I think, just to dovetail to kind of like bring our little chat to a conclusion. Again, at the beginning of this, we spoke a little bit about what 2020 could end up being. And when you think about, what Chris is, what you've just said, over our little conversation, there's a lot to be excited about from a future standpoint. There's a lot of reasons why your head might be down. Sure, you might have felt like you've been kicked around. But I think in a very real sense, there's some very positive things that are coming out of this. I think there's real industry changes that are making the product better and more digestible. I think we've got amazing things to look forward to. I'm just glad that the Olympics didn't happen 6 months before the coronavirus, and we've got 3 years to wait. I mean, we could almost look at this as a kickoff time, a kickoff party. We're sure we hit the bottom, kick off the bottom, and swim to the top, and actually make some exciting things happening. And 2020, as you said, if we look at it that way, could actually be a game-changing year.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, it was a time to take a step back. And, for a lot of club owners, when they weren't in the gym every day, they had a chance to kind of take a step back and say, what can I do differently at my club? What can I add to my program? And I've heard people that took that time and they said, I'm going to, redo my pro shop and add more offerings to it. I'm going to expand and add a ninja program. They really had a chance to kind of take a step back and use that time to plan strategically, which they hadn't had a chance to do before because they were so in the trenches. And then just in a general appreciation for gymnastics and what the sport does for people, how much we love it, how much it means to us. I think, for a lot of us, it was a time to just step back, reflect, regroup. And at the end, we're all better people for it. We've gone into the toughest period, for our businesses. And now that we kind of see that light of coming out hopefully we can use the things that we learned during that time. It's not going to be easy. We know that from talking to people. It's going to be a challenge the rest of this year, but it's something that, again, if we all kind of work together as a group, as an industry, let's pull together. Let's learn from the best. Let's see what other programs are doing that are working. This is a time for us to pull together, and no, it's not going to be easy, but we've all, as a country, I think we're starting to, the message of better together, learning from people, working together, unity, diversity, all of these different minds coming together. I think this is a time of, incredible historical importance. And, for all of us as individuals, as companies, we can learn from each other. We can work together. We can be better because of it.
And I think just to end up, I think it's important for all of you that are listening and watch this down the line, that there's a lot of resources out there. What's been quite amazing is, while I have heard many people complaining about the lack of interaction with USA Gymnastics, they have their own things that they're dealing with, obviously. There has been a tremendous amount of organizations that have pulled together, and there is so much resource now to actually, for gyms to help themselves or to get help if they need it, including your organization, my organization, and there's a number of others, and there's more coming. So, guys, if you're out there and you're struggling and you're feeling like you're missing something, or you need help, there's probably not been, in my opinion, a time when there's been as much help and just giving from many organizations. I know our organization is giving till we bleed right now, which is sometimes a bit scary, but I think it's the thing we should be doing. I know your organization's done the same, and I know of a number of others that have done the same. So, as a gym manager, a gym owner, or even a parent of a kid that's in it, there is lots of resources out there to find, to get you through these difficult periods. And I'll leave it with you with the last word, Chris, as I always try to do with my guests, is, what is your last word?
Really, it's a time for us to come together. There's been a lot of divisiveness just in general, and the power of unity, the power of, just as you mentioned, pooling our resources together, sharing ideas, realizing that we are better when we work together, and that they're not alone in this, that there are people that are willing to help them, to provide resources. And sometimes you have to seek those out, but they're there. And I think that there's never been a time where people are more willing to be there for each other and to work together. So for me, I'm very hopeful. I even for me personally, this was a period of time of just reflection and just being grateful for, you realize how much you love what you do and how much you miss those interactions when you don't have them, how much you take for granted sometimes. So, one of my favorite quotes is that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And, if you look back through difficult times in your life, you realize that, your resilience, your mindset, your attitude has so much to do with how you come out of something. So I think this is a period of time where if we all summon that, if we use our attitude, our mindset, this spirit of togetherness, that we'll get through it. And it won't be easy, but that we will get through it, and hopefully on the other side, stronger than ever.
Well, thank you, Chris. Please, if you're watching this and you aren't a subscriber, consider being a subscriber to Inside Gymnastics, or Dance or Cheer. Definitely be following him on Facebook and join his Instagram team. They're doing some really cool stuff. If you like gymnastics, you should be involved with Inside Gymnastics. Thank you for getting involved, and thanks for our chat.
Yeah, thank you for the chat. Really enjoyed it. It's always great to catch up, and appreciate all that you're doing for the gymnastics community and all the resources that you're providing. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Have a good one.